Welcome back to the Salontrepreneur. I'm your host, Amy Stebbins, and I'm really excited today because we're going to talk about hiring. Hiring, yes. And we're doing this nonstop right now. I'm interviewing a lot of stylists, and so we came up with a plan for the three key pieces to make us successful in the hiring process. Right, Jeff?
Right. Yeah. Having been through this many times, hiring is always one of the hardest things to do because you want the perfect person. You want the ideal stylist to be who you hire. You're making that commitment to them. They're making that commitment to you. It's really important to get things dialed in. And so today, those three key steps are what we're going to talk about. And I think the first one, back to our initial vision conversation for how to build your business, is making sure that that stylist is on brand and fits for exactly what the salon is. Talk about that.
Yeah, so important. I mean, we've talked about this before too. Knowing what your brand is the most important thing ever because it's in all of the other steps of the process, right? And so now we're in the hiring step and we know what our brand is. And so because we know that, it makes the hiring process easier. And it also weeds out a lot of people that don't fit the brand.
Right.
Yep. And what I mean by fitting the brand is, I mean, we're a luxury salon. We do extensions and colors, a lot of blondes here. So do you fit that part? Have you done that in the past? Are these things that you're good at? Do you have the skills in any of those areas? Or am I looking for somebody to train that wants to be, doing extensions and blondes and all that kind of stuff? So just knowing what your brand is will know what your team is going to look like.
Right. Well, and I think that's been a big part for us, and every salon is different. So this one, very focused on what the brand is, very focused on what the vision is. We've had bigger salons that had more of a variety, but the walk-in traffic was really high. So there's another set of skills that we're looking for there, and maybe no extensions would show up. So again, if there's not a reason to have an extension stylist, you don't need to be hiring that person because that's not who's going to be coming through the door, depending on that salon. And I think the other part we learned is making sure they're on brand. It doesn't make somebody could come in and have just a great personality, all the skills in the world, just be awesome, but just doesn't do what this salon does. And I think in the past, anybody that we thought had really great energy, really cool vibe, really awesome set of skills and history, were like, awesome. And then we couldn't find clients that actually fit for what they did best. So that, I think, is a big part of making sure they're on brand is, do they really fit? Are they going to excel in the type of clients that we have walking through the door?
Yeah, and not just for the salon, for the stylist too.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to set a stylist up to be disappointed or fail in the position either. They can't do any of the clients that are new clients. The demand is there, but they don't fit the brand, so they can't do them. They can't perform. And, I thought they could, or I wanted to force them into it. And that's not fun. That's not a good situation. So either they'll leave or I'm going to be training a lot and maybe I didn't have time for it, or maybe I didn't make time for that.
Right.
So that's why it's really important to just know right away in the interview. And I fall into this a lot. People pull on my heartstrings and I really like them and I want to hire them and I think they're a great person. They're just not the right fit for the salon. And so it's better to tell them sooner than later, because then they might have an opportunity that maybe they're doing interviews and maybe there's another interview that they liked as well and they did well at and they could have the job there. Instead of me taking them away from that, hiring them for a month, and then they lost out on that opportunity too. And honestly, at this point, I don't feel so bad because that's not what we market to. We market to a specific clientele, and if they do their homework before they come in, they will already know that, so they'll know if they're the right fit or not.
Right.
And so will I.
Right. I think that's the next key, is making sure the stylists are selling you, not you selling the stylists on the salon. Yeah. You've invested to create this business. You've got the vision. You've got the capabilities. You know what the ideal stylist looks like. And they come in asking you 50 questions about what you can do for them. I think in the interviewing process, it certainly is a 50-50 thing where you want both parties to be happy. But we started hiring people that actually wanted this more than anything. And that makes it so much easier for everybody to have success.
This industry is different now, so you have to evolve with that too. I mean, when I started off, it wasn't like this. There weren't the solo suites were non-existent. There was no one doing booth rental. Right. And now, I mean, they're everywhere, right? And so you got to tell them the opportunity's here, but I'm not going to sell myself. You have to want to be here too.
Right. We want people that are genuinely excited about the opportunity versus I'm just looking for a better rental rate, or I'm just looking for a better commission rate, or, it's just another thing. There has to appear to be that passion in that interview. And otherwise it's a no hire. Right. I mean, they could have a great book of business, but if it's really just a numbers thing and you're trying to grow a salon, you're setting up a bad foundation.
Yeah, I don't think it's a trade-off situation, and I feel very passionate about my business and the salon that we've grown, and so it's not going to be, this versus that, just a price difference or a pay difference. That's not going to be the ultimately factor for the stylist, in my opinion, and it shouldn't be, right? And so, and any salon owner should feel this way. We put a lot of effort and work into our businesses, and so we want the right people there. We want them to want to be there, and things should speak for themselves, and the stylist should be really excited.
Yeah, I agree. So make sure they're on brand.
Yeah.
Don't sell the stylist. The stylist, man, that's hard to say. The stylist sells you by the seashore. And then the third one is make sure that you're hiring people that are professional. They're showing up professional. Their acumen is professional.
Yeah.
That's a big part, right?
It's a big part for me. And maybe, maybe there's like a really industrial space that you're going to that's a barbershop, super edgy, and so maybe like coming in with booty shorts is okay. And that might be the vibe there, and that might be on brand, but it definitely isn't for me.
Right.
And I've had that in the interviews here. I mean, I've only had it once, but I had it, so to me, it's like, you don't know my brand. We're luxury. So luxury doesn't say booty shorts to me.
Right.
I mean, she looked cute in them, but like,
except
that's
for luxury
not
booty shorts.
Luxury booty shorts. Is there such a thing?
I don't know.
Either way, like, I think, it goes back to being on brand and knowing where you're going, what interview you're doing, and being ready, being a professional, because that's the clients that I have they're professional. They're looking for the luxury because we stress that in our marketing. And so I want you to show me that you can handle the clientele that I bring in.
Right.
And I'm not saying everybody on staff, the team here, I'm not saying we're all the same, because we're not. And that's boring, and that's not a stylist I would want either. The culture in the salon has to vibe. We have to mesh for the sake of the clients and the work, honestly.
Right.
And so I love personality. I love style within your brand.
Sure. We've got through, they are on brand. They're stoked to be a part of this salon. That's going great. They showed up dressed to impress for the type of salon that you run.
Yes.
Everything seems to be vibing. What is the process that you go through to actually run the interview? What types of questions are you typically asking in that interview?
Yeah, and the interview process I have changed over the years to being a little bit more relaxed. I mean, not relaxed in the fact of, like I said, I still want you to be professional, dress professional, have your resume, do all those things. But relaxed in the fact that I'm not going to have a clipboard with this, and this. I know what questions I'm going to ask, the key questions that I need. I want you to be prepared, but I don't want it to be so stuffy that it doesn't even feel comfortable, because this industry has kind of has changed a lot of stylists' mind, thinking that it's super flexible, and that's the vibe that I actually do have in the culture with my team, so that everybody's happy. But so it's a chill interview. Nobody feels like they're on blast. I don't want them to be uncomfortable, but at the same time, I will ask you, my first question is, why did you want to have an interview at this salon? Super important. Because I want them to know, I want them to be excited. I want them to know exactly why they chose this salon. If they don't, it tells me they're probably picking a lot of salons to interview at,
right, and
they're just looking for a job. This is not a job. This is a career. So that's my first question. I want them to say things like, I love that you do blondes. I specialize in blondes, or I want to do more blondes. My current situation doesn't have those, or I love extensions, or I'm getting into extensions, or can I be taught extensions here? All of those things are really good for my culture.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great question, is why did you want to interview here in the first place? And if they don't have an answer that shows they did any research whatsoever, that's a big red X as far as I'm concerned. Yep. All right, so they answer that question well. Okay. Then what do you hit them with?
Then I go into skill set. Obviously, I have to know, do you have the skills to work here? So what experience do you have? How long have you been doing hair? what do you specialize in, or what do you think you're really good at? I go down the product breakdown, obviously, what color lines have you used, retail products, so on and so forth. And then I also want to know, have you had any education in the last, 5-10 years, whatever, however long they've been doing hair, whether it's at the place that they're at, or have they ventured out on their own and paid for their own education? So have they invested back into their career?
Yeah.
Is really important.
I think that is. And especially now, there's so much education, like stuff we do for the Salontrepreneur. There's obviously lots of technical classes that are out there. There's always something, even if it's web-based, there's always some type of training. And if you haven't done any in the last 2 years, I mean, we talked about this before, even to start this salon, you did all kinds of different training classes. You're constantly investing in yourself. And even as you work on the business more, you're still taking trainings and doing other things to advance your skill set. It never stops. The learning should never stop. In this industry, the styles change, and so there's always something new that you should be getting up to speed. So if you're hiring people that haven't done training in 5 years or 10 years, again, depending on the type of salon, I'd say 9 times out of 10, they're probably not a good fit, because they just don't have that thing that tells you, they're really looking to invest back in themselves. So are they going to invest in your business and making sure that the client experience is great, the services are great, all those things.
And that's how we have evolved, if it's, and now granted, some people have only been doing hair a year, so I don't expect them to have taken 100 courses. It is expensive. They haven't even started that career path to make enough money to support some of these classes. I get it. But if you're a seasoned stylist and you're just going to work, checking in, checking out, going home and not doing even online training. I'm not saying you have to go physically to a class, but these things take time, they take money. But it shows me that you want more.
Right.
And we get stale, we get bored in this career if you don't. And I don't mind taking the courses so that I can bring them back to the stylist too, and staying up on my skills, because I am in education and I want to teach the salon too. Mm-hmm. But we learn from each other. I'm not the only one. I would love it if they bring something to the table too that I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I haven't seen that technique before. Can you teach me? And that's where you create the ultimate culture.
Mm-hmm.